What's going on, y'all? So we have a video here that's going to be interesting. There's a lot of drama going on right now between Destin and Reforge Gaming. And I want to step in a bit to clarify some things here myself because we know that Reforge likes to corporate chill for Sony a ton. And he tries to make stupid statements, which are I kind of find very hypocritical, and I'm gonna get into that. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and look at what Yoshida said right here. And then I'm going to tell you how there's some things that people are taking that are out of context. So let's get ready for this. This is going to be another good one. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. All right, let's get right to it. Yoshida explains that the PC ports are primarily targeting the Chinese market. I'm going to tell you how that's bullshit. Where PC gaming remains dominant and console adaptation is developing.
In other words, people think that putting a game on PC means no one's going to want a PlayStation anymore. But I'm like, no, I just don't know that these people were that interested to begin with. And if they are, the only way you can really go and get them is to aggressively go and get them.
You here, that when publishers release games on multi-platforms, especially on PC, the number one market countries their games sell is either US or China.
There we go. Now, I didn't mean what he said was, but more like this guy tried to make it seem like it's just China. No, it's US. Well, let me tell you why. What was Sony's biggest success ever outside of PlayStation? Helldivers. 70% almost on PC. Where do you think that came from? Came from the Western market. China wants to support Chinese games. China is very China. More than almost anyone on the entire planet. Just like Japanese are mainly Japanese, but they'll buy some Western games because there's an intermingle that they've been cooperating with for a long time. Now China's finally stepping in. But whose methods have they been using? They've been using Japanese methods. You know what I mean? For their gacha games. Even they come to the Western market big time, and that's very important. They don't stay exclusive to China. When Black Myth Wukong came out, do you know how many people from China bought that game? Primarily, it was on PC. They would even support the PlayStation to play Black Myth Wukong. That was a Chinese game. So I find it funny that these people are trying to spin this narrative to defend these posts because of what Destin said, without understanding that actually the success that Sony has had for all their games has been on the US market, way more than the Chinese market, because China don't give a damn about Spider-Man. They don't care about that, some of that stuff that you think that people would care about over here. They're more interested in Chinese supporting. You see what I mean? Like when Wu-Chang comes out, right? When Phantom Blade comes out, China will support that on PC. But Sony published games, that's not guaranteed. So the Western market to me will still be more important than the Chinese market until you prove to me that it's not. Because by the stats, their biggest success ever of all time, and it's one of their biggest success period, was Helldivers, and almost 70% of that was generated through PC. So don't try to feed me this nonsense. You're going to see why I'm going to get into this, because we're going to continue to do this, because you got corporate shows that just want to spin and pair what other people say without really using their own mind to realize what the hell that really means. It's just like, I'm going to see through that and I'm going to step in.
China is a huge PC game market. Mm-hmm. And China is growing, but still very small console market. Mm-hmm.
Also big on mobile. But China is a huge PC market for Chinese games.
In order to reach audience in countries like China, PC is crucial. PC SKU. Yeah, so I believe, having PC SKU really reach new audience. And after, not, releasing day and day, right? Taking 1 year or 2 years, or sometimes 3 or 4 years after the release of original PlayStation version, I don't think, that hurts. Probably people who have purchased on PlayStation of that game would have purchased already.
So we got past that. Are we ready to get on to the way things actually work here? Because we've seen what he said. So let's go over to Reforge Gaming's post. Personally attacked me. He's no different than the soft farmers. Yeah, okay. Yeah, remember this guy's a Nickelodeon villain. So y'all remember that. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Because that's what you're dealing with. Instead of being like, oh, hey, I might have got this wrong. Or, well, we can have a disagreement. What's he do? Well, he makes it personal. He makes it personal. Mentions my member goal, signal boosts somebody who attacks me every day and harasses me every day, and then tags somebody who salt farms me, rage farms me, and yells about me and calls me names.
Self-farming stuff is funny. Look at what Destin said right here. So let me get this straight. He misrepresented my tweet, claimed I was a puppet, told his audience to target me, got called out, played the victim, got it. I think I'll pass on a podcast invite. Let's go to Dustin's tweet. This is what Shuhei said. You know that when publishers release PC games on multiple platforms, especially on PC, the number one market countries to their games, right here, are either US or China. And we know it's US right now. Prove to me that China is out supporting the US for PlayStation PC. I would like to see that. Show me the Steam results too. Here's what I did not say in the post. I did not say they are going day and date to PC. He didn't. I did not comment on any of their initiatives in China. I did not make comparisons to what Xbox is doing. You know what Yoshida did say, though? Porting to PC is cheaper than creating an original title, and single-player games are too expensive, so they can't stay on there. They have to be third-party. So it's almost like printing money, and that helps us invest in new titles now that the cost of games have increased. So we could go to his page, right? And actually, here's another thing about him. As someone all the PlayStation fanboys think shouldn't be taken seriously, y'all sure do get mad about my tweets, right? I lost 7 subscribers because I said PlayStation is doing well. And he said PlayStation probably just hit 75 million consoles. All right, we ready here? Oh, look, another reason I don't like Jim Ryan. Sure, Yoshida said that Jim Ryan gave him the choice to be indie job or leave PlayStation. So, like, his take on the situation, I'm not seeing what's really a big deal here. Right? Are we seeing this? But here's my thing with Reforge gaming.
Got this wrong.
Like, let's go right here real quick.
I'm not going to get it back and forth. I'm going to get attacked. You're no different than the salt farmers at that point. You aren't. You're the same as them. You just resorted to ad hominem. Okay, fine, that's cool.
I find it funny because this guy harasses a lot of people on his channel for wanting to state their opinions about Xbox being better and certain other things. He takes their money. He tells them that he wants them to pay him money. He does. And just re-up the subscription, please. Keep doing that. Where it's like, bro, people are, if they want to do that, they're going to do that, right? And then he wants Destin to take the invite. This guy corporate shills for Sony so much. And he thinks that, he's talking about salt farming, right? That is a funny name, don't get me wrong. But he thinks that corporate shilling for Sony and not criticizing them at their most worst state in their gaming history, right? Not moving hardware. We're talking about just what they're doing everywhere else. We don't have to go over the spreadsheet, right? We've done this plenty of times with the cancel games, Concord, $69.99, the failure of VR2, right? The failure of Lego Horizon, Forspoken, the failure of Final Fantasy trying to be exclusive on PlayStation, Square Enix losing money, knowing they have to go elsewhere, money hatting, locking games. I mean, there's so many mistakes that's made this generation. Throwing down a Days Gone 2 pitch, Last of Us getting canceled, like just the mistakes that are happening in their in-house, all the layoffs, everything. Buying Bungie, but there's no use for that. Just very, very poor vision. The stuff that Jim Ryan did, forcing out Shuhei Yoshida, Sean Layden, like when you just look at all the mistakes that they made, it's very, very bad. In order to see them improve, you have to be constructively critical on that, professional criticism. He does none of that. All he does is over-defend Sony, make money off of that, have his little audience to where he has his sheep that overpays him, and he over-promotes and shills for corporations. He doesn't care about the common hole, or people don't have that much money. To him, it's all about supporting the corporations and overpaying for games. And yet somehow to him, that type of farming is not considered inappropriate. But he wants to talk about what Destin was doing. What did he do wrong, by the way? He doesn't do that. He actually worked for IGN, but he left to become independent. He didn't want to be a part of that crap anymore. So my thing here on this post is, what Shuhei Yoshida also said is, the markets were US and China. But tell me where China has been proven to be a more dominant market for Sony than PC gamers. Tell me what China did with Helldivers 2, which is their biggest success ever. live service, and almost of all time in the history of PlayStation, they said. And that PC carried that 70%. And because Sony has been disrespecting the PC community for a while and being ugly about it and doesn't understand it, that's why you see pirating and stuff happen. Yeah, some of them are just guilty for that because they are pirating, and I don't agree with that. And I will say, learn to support a game. But when it comes to stuff like Spider-Man 2, the reason why that happened is there was also a lot of political nonsense going on with that. They don't support that. PC gamers are going to deny that. And they're not showing the love and day and date like Microsoft does, because the PC community will respect the Xbox ecosystem over the PlayStation ecosystem, because Microsoft understands PC gamers, which actually makes sense. So all these people over here that are trying to defend, like over defend the Shuhei Yoshida statement, trying to make it seem like that the Chinese market is all this and that, where it's like, yeah, but for the Chinese gaming, it is. That's what people need to understand. It's not more important than the US market. And Sony's not going day and day because they don't want to. And they still want to promote and push the PlayStation brand and keep their IPs there and not be day and date on PC. And actually, if the money was so good in China, that they would have been day and date in China only, because they're the type of company that would do that, right? And they would lock off everything else to come later. But it's going to be really hard to do that on the PC, just hardware in general. But they would put their games in China to make their numbers look so good. If Chinese market was so good, their exclusive would be selling 5 to 10 million in China. And they'd be launching them over there. And they were reporting an extra 5 to 10 million numbers, trying to get Nintendo numbers in China. But why are they not doing that, right? You see, that's the hypocrisy of this statement. It's like, why are you not doing it then if it's so good? You wouldn't wait 3 years. You would have it right there because the numbers and math are so damn good that you wouldn't be able to pass it up. And you'd be selling more PlayStations in China. It's not there yet. I could understand what they mean by potential, but I don't see it happening. I still see the Western market being a lot more dominant for PC gaming than the Chinese market for PlayStation. Of course, the pirating is there. I see that because they just don't like Sony. Can you blame them? They're kind of anti-consumer and anti-gamer in a lot of ways. They really are. And I think a lot of people understand that now more than ever. They even betray their own people in Japan. And now they're getting back Japanese leadership. But if you saw some of Shuhei's recent posts, he let you know clear-sighted that Jim Ryan was making PlayStation very European-oriented. Yeah, sure, he got them more sales over there, but he was splitting up and screwing over the Japanese community big time. Sony Japan got shut down big time. Japanese people were getting put at the end of the bus, and they weren't even hearing about stuff that was going over here in the Western world while they were leading. They got information when they wanted them to get it. So they shouldn't be criticized for that. Though, where did Sony originally develop and start from? Nintendo's never done that to Japan. That's why they're 90% Nintendo. You gotta understand how the Japanese culture works. You gotta understand how the United States culture works. You gotta understand how the Chinese culture works. The Chinese want to support Chinese products. They're like that. But they'll put their hand over here and say everything made from China. Understand the market of the Western market and come over here and colonize over here, set their place down here like they had the battles like they did in San Francisco, and be living in mastering the capitalist society, but being only communistic, though everything is originally a republic, because I look at China organically as a republic when we look at the whole history of China for thousands of years compared to the communistic stuff that only happened for a small portion of the totality of the Chinese culture. You see what I mean? But first and foremost, if you go to China, it's just all Chinese people. What do you think they want to support? They want to support their own self to make themselves look better. And they'll do that by any means necessary. So they're not looking to support Japanese products. They're not. And they're not really looking to over-support Western products. They want China to look better than everything else. This is understanding how things work. So if something he's trying to say, it's just him trying to respin as usual, because he just listens to investors and whatever the PR statements say and whatever Sony people say. This is him right here, because he's a Sony sellout, over defending sellout. He's not for the whole gaming community. He's for Sony. And that's pretty obvious. And everybody knows this. I want to speak for the gaming community. I want to speak for how everything actually works here. I've slammed this guy in multiple videos. Of course, he's not going to respond because he ain't going to be able to beat what I said. So I don't get how what he's trying to say against Destin will be better than what he does. You over defend Sony when they should be criticized. That's why they're like that. And they know people like you will kiss their ass. And you make a bunch of money off of people doing that. and you disrespect your members. You even lock it off because you can't allow free will of speech up in your chat. It's very censored and conditioned. So, like I said, he's a Nickelodeon villain. A lot of people know this. That's why Alex roasts him. MBG's a way better guy than him, though he may like not be as like entertaining as Reforge. Reforge is entertaining, I'll give him that, but I have to call out some stuff because it's like, what are we talking about here? Destin is a much better person than him. Obviously, he likes the Xbox brand more than the PlayStation brand. So do I. I like Nintendo more than anything. But hey, man, I think the only people that are going to really, really like Sony, because I respect the PlayStation as a gamer, but I can't really say I like Sony. I don't. You know, from if you want to talk from a human level, no, fuck no. You know what I mean? No, I think they're one of the. I think they're the worst in the gaming industry. They've always have been. I loved Sega. Sega's amazing. You know what I mean? They may have made some mistakes and may not be in a competition no more, but they were way better than Sony because they could provide in-house, big time. And I think a lot of real retro gamers will say the same thing. Hell yeah, Sega was way better than Sony. Sony is schemy. You can't trust him. So don't try to. I don't get how these people try to make it seem like that Microsoft is somehow worse. That Sony ain't better than Microsoft. Hell no. If they had the same amount of money that Microsoft had, they would be worse. They're not. The only reason they're not able to do what Microsoft does because they just don't have the funds to do it. But don't you think for a second that if Sony didn't have a $1 trillion company, that they wouldn't have bought Activision and locked that shit away from the Xbox community and have it only going on PC or PlayStation. The same stuff they tried to accuse Microsoft from doing, but yet I find it funny that Microsoft still has it on there because they know they can make more money off of them, but they still put it there. Sony would have locked it to the PlayStation ecosystem. Unless Activision said, I won't do this deal unless you allow me to remain independent like Bungie. Oh, Sony would have locked it away. That's what they do. I just see the things. Like, it don't matter whether the money there is not. No, it's, are you really like this or are you not, right? So these people that are sitting over here trying to make Sony look at us like, man, wake up, bro. Well, who are you trying to fool? We already know who Microsoft is since the 90s, right? We know they're going to monopolize. And ever since Microsoft had became Microsoft Gaming, I knew what that meant when I saw Satya step in and said, oh, it's Microsoft Gaming now. That means monopolizing. But who started it? Sony did in the gaming industry. Nintendo's not no monopolizers. They're the most legit company in the entire world, and they're still pure Japanese. They never changed, and they don't sell out. Ain't no political invasion coming in. They don't microtransaction you to death. They don't try to like scheme on you or none of that. They make real video games from beginning to end, and online games to go. Find me a Nintendo game that's on their actual consoles. We're not talking about mobile stuff. That is like that. That's far left from it. Don't exist. They're purely gaming. You know what I mean? Sony's multi-conglomerate. And Microsoft is, we know who Microsoft is. They're not gaming wholly, you know what I mean? Though they're now coming into Microsoft gaming now, and they have their hands on it. But at the end of the day, I don't get this like over defending Sony and make it like taking this stuff too serious. Like it needs to be a bigger thing to try to defend them against the PC market. When really we know they need the PC market. And that Microsoft is third party and PlayStation is not third party. Man, get out of here with that crap. They're both third party. Wake up. You know what I mean? And trying to paint Destin here as the villain when really we know this guy here is the real villain right here. It's pretty obvious. You know what I mean? Let's just be real here. So that's why I had to come and do this, because I had to set this straight. Let me know one day when the Chinese market, and it may be possible, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not possible, is supporting the PlayStation games that are ported over to PC more than the PC community in Western society. Because as far as I'm concerned, they came in way late, and Western society has been gaming since the 90s and 80s, and Chinese market has not been gaming that long. So it's going to take some time for them to think about supporting consoles. They're not looking at it that way. They're only putting games over there because they want the Chinese games to sell on there, and they'll go and get the PlayStation to support the Chinese game, but not PlayStation Japanese games or Western games. No, Western society is going to do that more than anything because that's the biggest market for that. So Chinese may have a lot more people, but yet how is the percentage over here higher? Because they support more of all types of brands, Chinese, Japanese, South Korean, whatever. So China has 1 billion plus people. You get what I'm saying? Let's talk ratio to ratio here. Yeah, you don't want to do that. All right, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think about this. Peace out.